Hi, and welcome to today's class of Vedic astrology. And today we will be learning about a very important concept in the world of Vedic astrology. And if you do not understand today's concept properly and thoroughly, your analysis and your interpretation of a Lagna chart will remain incomplete. All right, you will not be able to completely and deeply analyze the effects of planets, all the nine planets, in an individual's life based on his or her horoscope. Completely, you will not be able to understand if, in case you are not able to understand today's topic. So today's topic will also be completely practical, and if in case wherever you are finding it difficult to understand, pause the video. Whatever I will be showing you from the work that I have done, I request you to copy the same in your notepad and try to understand by practicing along with whatever I am saying, so that you will be able to understand it completely. It is just like whatever I tell you for all of my previous classes. All right, along with whatever I say, pause any video, and wherever you feel it is necessary, practice it or write it in your notepad and then continue watching that video. And today's topic is Chalit Kundali, the Chalit chart. And Chalit Kundali is all about understanding the impact of planets in an individual's horoscope, that is over and above the Lagna chart. All right, so it is very essential for you to understand the Chalit Kundali of an individual's horoscope, that is using his or her birth details, whatever Lagna chart that you are seeing in front of you of that particular individual. Based on that only, you have to also analyze and you have to also develop the Chalit Kundali, and then based on your creation of that particular individual's Chalit Kundali, you have to analyze the impact of the planets. And without creating or without developing the Chalit Kundali, you will not be able to properly analyze how each and every planet is impacting that individual's life just based on the Lagna chart. The Lagna chart is the whole and soul of it. All right, that is 110% sure. But sometimes the Chalit Kundali reflects accurately how a particular planet is behaving in that individual's life, that sometimes it is not evident based on the Lagna chart. And the reason why I am saying this, you will be able to understand practically, diagrammatically in today's class. All right, and Chalit Kundali is all about understanding the Kundali from the Lagna degree perspective. All right, so it is completely based on the degree of the Lagna. Because see, what is the degree of Lagna? How you will be able to find out what is the degree of a particular Lagna of an individual's birth details? That will be reflected in front of you along with the degree of all the planets. So for all the 9 planets, a particular degree will be mentioned beside it. That just denotes what is the strength of that particular planet degree wise. All right, degree wise, where that particular planet is positioned in one particular Rashi, in one particular house, that through the degree, an individual or a practitioner of Vedic astrology comes to an understanding. But along with the 9 planets, there is also a degree mentioned for the Lagna. I'm not talking about the Lagnesh, the lord of the first house. I'm not talking about the planets that are placed in the first house. I am just talking about the Lagna itself. It will be mentioned Lagna, that is whatever application that you are using in order to find out the Lagna chart, in order to find out what are the degrees of all the 9 planets of an individual's horoscope. See, the online application along with all the 9 planets will also mention Lagna, that is mostly present at the top. It's mentioned at the top before all the 9 planets, and beside that a particular degree will be mentioned. It means that what it means, I have to show it to you practically. All right, so just before I start explaining it to you diagrammatically, you have to understand two concepts. Every house of a particular horoscope has 30 degrees, that I have already mentioned it multiple number of times in my previous classes. And the movement of the houses is always anti-clockwise, means it's always left to right. All right, whenever you will see the extreme left of a particular house has 0 degrees and the extreme right has 30 degrees. All right, for every particular house. So left to right means it's moving anti-clockwise. All right, and the middle portion of a particular house is 15 degrees. All right, if you divide 30 by 2, if you understand what is the exact middle number or the middle degrees, it is 15. So the middle portion of a particular house is 15. All right, so the same is applicable for the Lagna house, the first house itself. So the first house is the Lagna, that you have definitely you are able to understand that by now. So now whenever you will see in the online application that the Lagna has a particular degree, suppose, okay, I'll come to that particular point later. Typically, suppose I'm giving you an example. If a Lagna, if it is suppose mentioned, whenever you are using an online application, suppose besides the Lagna 15 degrees is mentioned, it means the Lagna is completely positioned in the first house. So you have to understand, if the Lagna if the degree mentioned beside Lagna for an individual's birth details, or for an individual's horoscope as per his or her birth details is 15 degree, that is for the Lagna. What it means? It means that suppose you see this particular example, this particular chart. All right, so this is the Lagna house. All right, suppose this is the first house. So it starts from 0 degrees, then it moves to 30 degrees. All right, left to right, it means it is moving anti-clockwise. And the middle portion of the first house has 15 degrees. I hope you are able to see it. Now suppose this is the Lagna. All right, it is used, this particular line I have used in order to understand when in an online application, suppose a Lagna has 15 degrees, what it means? It means suppose the center position of the first house is exactly coinciding with the center position of that particular Lagna. So 15 degrees of the first house, all right, is coinciding, is completely merging with the 15 degrees. It means the 15 degrees, all right, it means in this, from the center position, you have to understand, it is 15. The Lagna, if the Lagna mentioned is 15, means here you have to calculate from here 15, it is 15, so it is starting at 15 here. All right, so means towards the right it will move another 15 degrees, and behind that it will again has 15 degrees, because one particular house has 30 degrees. So under such situation we can understand that the entire Lagna is placed in the first house. So whatever Rashi is in the first house, suppose in a particular Lagna chart you find out that the ascendant Lord is number 7, that is Libra. All right, so the entire first house suppose has a Libra sign, and this is the Libra sign, the first house, starting from 0 degrees on the left 230 degrees on the right, moving anti-clockwise. So the first house, suppose this is the first house sign of Libra. So the Lagna that is mentioned and the degree that is mentioned having 15 degrees, it means the entire Lagna is situated in the first house in the sign of Libra itself. And the entire Lagna occupies 30 degrees of the Libra sign itself. If it is 15, just calculate from the center, 15 is happening. On the right, 1 second. So here, okay, I think I was telling it to you in a particular, from a lateral, from a lateral position I was mentioning it to you. So I think it will be easier for you to mention as the way I see it, all right? So anti-clockwise, correctly, if you see, if a clock is moving anti-clockwise, it is moving right to left, all right? Right to left, it's anti-clockwise. So here, this is the right, this is the left. I hope you will be able to understand from the video that it is, the particular Rashi is moving from right to left, 0 to 30. The Lagna also moves from 0 to 30. 15 degrees of the Lagna means from the center, if it is 15 in the first house, here the Lagna center is also 15, means from on this particular side it is 15 degrees and on this particular side it is 15 degrees. So means the Lagna is ending at 30 degrees and in the sign of Libra, and the Lagna is starting at 0 degrees from the sign of Libra. So here you understand that the Lagna is completely occupying 30 degrees of one particular sign. So this is how, if you can draw it in your notepad and just try to replay whatever I have said, you will be able to understand. I will give you more examples so that your understanding will be concrete. This is very difficult to show it to you because this is a very, whatever today's class is very numerical by nature. It's very mathematical by nature, but you have to understand, because if you do not understand this concept, your analysis and your interpretation of horoscope will be not complete. You will not be able to properly analyze how a particular planet is impacting a particular horoscope. And based on that only, you will be able to understand what are the accurate Vedic astrological remedies that needs to be given. Without understanding the Chalit Kundali, a practitioner of Vedic astrology should not recommend Vedic astrological remedies, especially gemstones or dhan. So this you have understood. Whenever beside the Lagna 15 degrees is mentioned, this is how you have to calculate. It means in the Chalit Kundali also, the entire first house or the first house is occupied by Libra sign. So if in case, suppose for an example, the first house here I'm taking as Libra and this is the Lagna 15 degrees. All right. So this you have understood, I believe. I'm hoping, because I'm explaining it to you in the best way possible. And now suppose for one more example I'm giving you. Suppose in a particular application you see beside the Lagna 20 degrees is mentioned. So how it impacts the Chalit Kundali, how the Chalit Kundali becomes a bit different from the Lagna chart, you have to understand. So now see this particular chart in Chalit Kundali, all right, not in Chalit Kundali, in the online application, if that particular Lagna has 20 degrees. Again, the base you should always draw. It is a kind of a line of reference, all right, so that you will be able to understand the Lagna, how much degrees it is occupying, and from which the first house itself. So this particular thing, it indicates the first house of the Chalit Kundali, all right. This what you have understood, right? The first, it indicates this will be the first house of the Chalit Kundali, and that particular house, from which particular degrees to which particular degrees it will be occupying, which particular degree of which particular sign to which particular degree of which particular sign, the first house of Chalit Kundali it occupies. That you have to understand. That is the basis of creating the Chalit Kundali. Based on that only, you will be able to then create all the remaining 11 houses. but the first house you have to understand and you have to create correctly, especially determining the degrees and the sign that rules the first house. All right, and after that I will tell you what more you have to understand. So here, coming back to this particular example, suppose the Lagna has 20 degrees. All right, it means this is again the first house. Suppose this is the first house. All right, starting from 0 degrees to 30 degrees, moving from right to left anti-clockwise. Starting from 0, this is the middle portion, 15 degrees, and this is the ending 15 degrees position, 15 to 30, then again 15 degrees. So overall, the degree of this particular house is 30 degrees. Now 20 degrees if it is mentioned beside the Lagna in a particular online application, or for an individual's horoscope or birth details, it means here it is 15. All right, so this particular 30 degrees needs to be also, calculated for the first house of the Chalit Kundali. That is, suppose here I'm just referring it as Lagna of the Chalit Kundali. So here it means 15 degrees. Here it will be 20 degrees. Means if you compare it with this particular line of reference, the first house, the 20 degrees will be positioning at the center, because the Lagna is mentioned, it is 20 degrees. Means the middle portion will start at 20 degrees for a particular sign. All right, so that you have to understand. It means for a particular sign on the left, all right, means on the right, suppose it will again move 15 degrees. So here the particular first house of the Chalit Kundali is starting from 5 degrees of that particular Rashi or that particular sign. It travels then 15 degrees. Therefore, it is now the centering. Center is coming as 20 degrees. So here 15 degrees is complete. Now again it needs to move 15 degrees further to the left, because the planet or a house always moves anti-clockwise. All right to left. So here, if the particular house moves more 10 degrees, then this particular Rashi is getting completed at 30 degrees. All right. So, but here it is moving only 10 degrees. It needs to move more further 5 degrees in order to complete 30 degrees of the first house. So the remaining 5 degrees what the Lagna chart is moving, or what the Lagna chart is having, will be of the next Rashi. All right. So suppose, for example, if this is a Cancer sign, if you see that the first house of a Lagna chart is Cancer sign, it means the first house of the Chalit Kundali and the Cancer sign, the first house of a particular Lagna chart Cancer sign, what it means it starts from 0 degrees to 30 degrees, the Cancer sign in the first house. But the Chalit Kundali here, what is that specific calculation is all about? The Chalit Kundali, it means it starts from 5 degrees. The first house of the Chalit Kundali, it starts from 5 degrees of the Cancer sign to 5 degrees of Leo sign. Means 5 degrees of Leo is also including in the first house of Chalit Kundali. So in the Lagna chart, you have observed that the entire first house is occupied by the Cancer sign. But when you are calculating the first house of the Chalit Kundali, based on the Lagna degrees, whatever is mentioned, 20 degrees mentioned, it comes in the center. You now have found out that the Lagna house of the Chalit Kundali also has the first, or you can say, this will be 1 second. Yes, the first 5 degrees of Leo sign. All right, because it is starting, the first house of the Chalit Kundali starting from 5 degrees of Cancer sign, then it is ending at 5 degrees of Leo sign. So the first house of the Chalit Kundali, it is missing the first 1 to 4.99 degrees or 1 to 4 degree 59 minutes, because it is always 30 degrees is more, it means 29 degrees 60 minutes. So that you have to, that's a very important part. So here degrees and minutes are taken into consideration. It is not 30 degrees it's not like 29.100, or it never, the decimal part is never from 1 to 100. Here the decimal part is not included whenever you understand about degrees. a kind of a minutes and seconds is understood, but you can omit the second, you calculate the minutes. But the minutes you need to calculate, you cannot just take the degree wise, because some particular planet has degree of 29 degree 43 minutes, or some planets has 7 degree 37 minutes. So that 37 minutes is also very essential. Just don't take the first numerical value. Otherwise, if you don't calculate, if you are not calculating the Chalit Kundali based on that, including that minutes score also, you will not be able to properly calculate the Chalit Kundali. Otherwise, it will be a mistake. So now you have, I'm just now for starting, I'm giving you a whole number. I'm not taking into degree. I'm not taking the minutes into calculation. That I will be using in the upcoming examples. So this will be a kind of a lengthy video, because I have to completely explain it to you, how to calculate, how to analyze, how to develop the Chalit Kundali. And the entire episode is very much mathematical, but it's very simple mathematics, like very, very simple mathematics. So yes, so it's starting from, so what you need to understand is in the Lagna, how the Chalit chart now is becoming different from the Lagna chart. Now you understand. In the Lagna chart, you just saw that the first house only has Cancer sign. It means the first house of that particular Lagna chart has 0 degree to 30 degree of Cancer. So particular person will come to an understanding that if he or she is seeing the Lagna chart, the practitioner, if he or she is seeing the Lagna chart, that first house only contains the sign of Cancer, because only 4 is mentioned in the Lagna chart. Even that application is showing that. But whenever you calculate the Chalit Kundali, there you understand the specific, exactly what degrees the actual first house contains, and how much particular, degrees the first house contains. So here you understand the first house also includes 5 degrees of Leo, and it is missing 4 degree and 59 minutes of the first 4 degree and 59 minutes of Cancer. It means the first 4 degree and 59 minutes of Cancer will be in the 12th house. All right, so the 12th house is also having Cancer sign. The first house is also having Cancer sign. The first house also has a portion of Leo sign, and the second house will have the remaining portion of Leo sign. This is how the remaining houses degrees also and calculated, and this is only done in order to analyze which particular planet will be impacting which particular house in a proper way. That again I will be coming to you step by step. So this particular example you have understood, I believe. All right, this particular chart, I'm explaining it to you step by step. Now suppose another example is, you see in an online application beside the Lagna 5 degree is mentioned. So now how you will understand what is the first house of the Chalit Kundali? How? So the Lagna, in the Lagna, just in the first particular row, Lagna will be mentioned, and beside that the degree 5 is mentioned. In the previous example we saw 20 degrees. The example before that we saw 15 degrees. Now we are understanding if what happens if Lagna is 5 degrees. Now how you need to analyze and create the first house of the Chalit chart based on this particular information. So again, you create your line of reference, that is the first house, moving from right to left. This is 0 degree, this is 30 degrees. All right, 15 degrees here, 15 degrees here. Or this is basically the line of reference. Here there is the main calculation, and this particular thing, for starters, it helps to understand and calculate this particular, the actual first house analysis of the Chalit chart. So now the Lagna is starting at 5 degrees, or you can see the Lagna mentioned is 5 degrees. So the middle portion of this particular line here, it is 5 degrees. All right. So the middle portion is 5 degrees. So this will also include 15 degrees. This will also include 15 degrees. Now you have to understand that. So the before part here, it is only 5, right? Because if it is 5 degrees means here this is ending at 0. So here the Rashi, suppose now let's take it as an example. In the Lagna chart, the first house is Sagittarius, number 9. So let's understand now in the Chalit chart, what will be the signs in the first house of the Chalit chart, whether it will be completely Sagittarius or other particular signs will also be included in the first house. So that is the reason why I said in here 0 means the sign of Sagittarius is ending just before. I'm just telling on the right hand side, it is ending at 0, so it has traveled 5. It needs to travel further 10 degrees to complete the 15 degrees entirely on the left, on the right. So this particular degree, one second, huh? Yes, so this particular portion, all right, this particular portion here, it will travel further 10 degrees. So from 20 to 30, this will be the sign of Scorpio. So it means in the first house of that particular Chalit chart, it will start at 20 degrees in the sign of Scorpio. Then it will travel 30 degrees in the sign of Scorpio. It will complete Scorpio. Then the particular sign of Sagittarius will start, and till it reaches the middle portion, it will travel 5 degrees. And here it will travel the another 15 degrees. So here it is the first house of that particular, Chalit Kundali. It is ending at 20 degrees in the sign of Sagittarius. So you can understand. So the sign of the first house in the Chalit chart, it is starting at 20 degrees in the sign of Scorpio, and it is ending at 20 degrees in the sign of Sagittarius. It means again, in the first house of the Chalit Kundali, there is again an inclusion of one more Rashi. So in the Lagna chart, you only saw that the first house has Sagittarius Rashi, and you come to an understanding that, okay, that means it will be from 0 to 30. That's a normal understanding. But when you create the Chalit Kundali based on the Lagna degrees that is mentioned in the application, you understand that the first house also includes a good portion of the sign of Scorpio. That is the last 10 degrees of the sign of Scorpio, 20 degrees to 30 degrees. And it also does not include the last 10 degrees of the sign of Sagittarius, because it is ending. The first house is ending at 20 degrees in the sign of Sagittarius. It means from 21 degree to 30 degree, or 21 degree Sagittarius to 30 degree Sagittarius, that will be included in the second house, all right, in the Chalit Kundali, and so on and so forth it will include. And it also means the first degree till the 20 degrees of the sign of Scorpio, it will be in the 12th house, because the first house has 20 degrees to 30 degree of Scorpio. So you can say from 0 degrees to 19 degree and 59 minutes, this particular portion will be in the 12th house of that particular Chalit Kundali. So this is again one more example that I have shown to you in order to analyze how to calculate the first house of a Chalit Kundali. So please pause the video and please draw it in order to, completely understand. Because if you are not able to completely understand this, then again I'm repeating the same thing. Your analysis will not be complete. Analysis of an individual's horoscope. And if the analysis is not complete, you will not be able to properly understand how each and every planet is impacting an individual's life, and you will also not be able to properly understand what are the things definitely that is currently that individual is facing, and what are the difficulties that the individual is currently going through. And if you are not able to understand this particular concept, definitely you will not be able to properly provide a guidance, recommendations as per Vedic astrology to that particular individual. And many a times you see, once you again create the complete Chalit Kundali and you place all the planets based on the degrees that I will teach you, the Chalit Kundali placement of planets and the Lagna Kundali placement of planets house-wise, both are same. So in that particular scenario, you understand that the Chalit Kundali and the Lagna Kundali both are reflecting the same information. In such situation, there is no problem, but the real and the in-depth analysis only happens when you see that in Chalit Kundali, the placement of planet changes house-wise. There you are able to understand that how a particular planet is impacting an individual's life. There is your correct and accurate analysis. But again, in order to achieve that, the calculation or the creation of the Chalit Kundali needs to be very accurate. Now let's understand another example. Now suppose in a Lagna chart you see that the first house is ruled by Gemini sign, alright, the sign of 3. And in that particular birth details, or in that particular horoscope details, you find out in one of the pages, suppose whatever application that you are using to create the Lagna chart based on that individual's birth details, you find out that the Lagna has 25 degrees. Or beside the Lagna, the strength of the Lagna degree wise is mentioned 25. So what it signifies, let's again understand it. All right, so again you create your line of reference. All right, starting from 0 on the right to 30 degrees on the left. Movement is always right to left, anti-clockwise. Now here it means you see the Lagna 25 degrees is mentioned, and whenever a particular degree will be mentioned beside the Lagna, it indicates the same sign, Gemini. So it is 25 degrees of Gemini. That you have understood from my previous examples also. Now here it is 15 degrees, here it is 15 degrees. So let's understand what are the signs the first house of Chalit Kundali will occupy. It is 25 degrees. Now here, now let's first of all look towards the right. It means decrease 15 degrees minus 15 degrees from here. 25 degrees is mod. It means it has traveled from 0 to 25. All right. So that's why it is 25 degrees. On the right, it will move or just decrease or minus 15 degrees. It means the first house of the Chalit Kundali is starting from 10 degrees of the sign of Gemini. Correct? Because you're minusing, you're subtracting 15 degrees from 25, it comes to 10. So 10 here in the, at 10 degrees of the sign of Gemini, the first house of that Chalit Kundali starts. Now let's understand in which particular degree the first house of Chalit Kundali will end. So here, if it travels more 5 degrees, means it is completing the 30 degrees of Gemini. So after traveling 5 degrees, the sign of Gemini is completing. But again, the first house needs to be traveled more in order to complete the first house, because more 10 degrees is remaining. So the first house of the Chalit Kundali will travel 10 degrees of the next sign, that is the sign of Cancer, 0 to 10. Because again, everything is moving right to left, anti-clockwise. And whenever it is right to left, it always is 0 to 30. Every house, every sign has a degree of from 0 to 30, and that movement is always anti-clockwise, right to left. So again, right to left, it means here it will travel 10 degrees to complete the 15 degrees on the right hand side of the first house. If it travel 10 degrees, it means it is traveling 0 degrees of the sign of Cancer to 10 degrees of the sign of Cancer. So the first house of the Chalit Kundali will have 10 degrees of the sign of Gemini, or will start from 10 degrees on the sign of Gemini, that is on the right, and it will travel anti-clockwise, and it will end at 10 degrees of the sign of Cancer. So it means in the Lagna chart, you saw that the first house only has Gemini because number 3 is mentioned. But when you are calculating the Chalit Kundali, now you are able to understand that the first house also contains the first 10 degrees of Cancer, and it does not contain the last 10 degrees, or it does not contain the first 10 degrees of the sign of Gemini. All right, because it is starting at 10 degrees. Then it is proceeding 25 degrees. This 25 degrees is at the middle of this particular line of the first house of Chalit Kundali. So here it has traveled 15 degrees from right to the middle. From middle to the extreme left, it will travel another 15 degrees. After it travels 5 degrees from the 15 degrees, the sign of Gemini ends at 30. Then again, the sign of Cancer starts along with that is at 0 degree of Cancer. Then again it will travel further 10 degrees to complete this particular portion is 15 degrees. So that is the reason why the first house of the Chalit Kundali is ending at 10 degrees of the sign of Cancer, starting at 10 degrees of the sign of Gemini and ending at 10 degrees of the sign of Cancer. So the first 10 degrees of the sign of Gemini, it will be in the 12th house, and the next 20 degrees of the sign of Cancer, it will be in the second house. So that is the reason why you are able to understand now. So here I have mentioned the Lagna house, the first house of the Chalit Kundali will have 10 degree of Gemini to 10 degree of Cancer. All right. So this is how you have to understand the calculation. Okay. So only in this particular way you will be able to, I'm showing it to you step by step. So that's why I have drawn it separately so that you can pause the video, you can draw this and you can practice it in your home. You can watch my words again and again, listen to whatever I'm saying again and again, because I'm giving my best efforts to explain it to you in the best way possible, step by step, because otherwise this will be quite difficult for me to explain it to you completely verbally and then tell you to do it on your own. Other topics are very easy because that you can only do just by creating a Lagna chart and then your analysis of planets' placement and understanding Yoga Karaka Maraka and understanding various different aspects. But this has more calculation involved with it. All right, this is a more detailed understanding. So Chalit Kundali, if you're starting off with this particular concept of Chalit Kundali, you might take a bit of time to completely draw the Chalit Kundali. All right, but once you're completely thorough with this calculation, it takes very less time, because then you get a habit of it. You are quickly able to analyze just by seeing the degree of that particular Lagna, whatever is mentioned in that Lagna chart. You will be able to understand it numerically. You can even do it in your head that the first house of that particular Chalit Kundali will start from which particular degree of which particular Rashi and will end at which particular degree of which particular Rashi. And if the first house you are able to calculate, the next houses will be the continuation of whatever you have seen from the first house, because every house has 30 degrees. So you just keep on adding 30 degrees, 30 degrees, 30 degrees, 30 degrees. And this in this particular way, you will find out for all the next 11 houses. But just for the first house, if you are able to find out correctly, the next 11 houses by default will be completely accurate. So this is one example. Now let's look at an example where I have used minutes in that particular degree calculation. Now suppose in a Lagna chart, you see the first house has Sagittarius Rashi, all right, number 9. And in that Lagna chart or wherever the degrees of the planets are mentioned, you see at the top of that particular table, Lagna is mentioned, and beside that the Lagna degree is 5 degrees and 37 minutes. All right. So now how you will be able to understand how you need to calculate that the first house of the Chalit chart will start from which particular degrees of which particular Rashi and will end at which particular degree of which particular Rashi. Now let's come back to this particular example. So again, draw your line of reference. I have mentioned Sagittarius sign because again, as per the Lagna chart, the first house is ruled by the sign of Sagittarius. Now this will be a line of reference. So here, this is the first house of the Chalit chart. The middle portion will start at 5 degree and 37 minutes. That is the sign of Sagittarius. Let's look at the next 15 degrees because you can easily calculate. Just add 15 degrees to this particular degree and you will find out it is the first house of the Chalit chart is ending at 20 degrees and 37 minutes of the sign of Sagittarius, because it is starting at 5 degree and 37 minutes, means the middle portion of it. So the next 15 degrees, you can easily add 15 degrees. That is 5 degree in 37 minutes plus 15. This particular portion is 15 degrees completely. So it is ending at the same sign, that is the sign of Sagittarius, but it is ending at 20 degree and 37 minutes. So the remaining 9 degree and 23 minutes, all right, the next 9 degree and 23 minutes will be in the second house. The next 9 degree, that is from 20 degree 38 minutes to 30 degrees, that will be 9 degree and 23 minutes. The duration of it, of the sign of Sagittarius, will be in the second house. All right, but this you have understood. This is the degree in which the first house is ending. So how to find out in what degree and what sign the first house is starting of the Chalit chart? So here if you understand, it is 5 degree and 37 minutes, minus it to reach 0. So here the sign of Sagittarius is ending, or after this it will be the before sign, that is the sign of Scorpio, number 8. So it is 5 degree and 37 minutes. In order to complete this particular portion of 15 degrees, how much it needs to travel? It needs to travel 9 degree and 23 minutes, because 9 degree 23 minutes plus 5 degree 37 minutes, it is 15 degrees. All right, 9 plus 5 is 14, and 37 plus 23 is 60 minutes, and 60 minutes is 1 degree. So the addition of this two will give 15 degrees. It means from 20 degree 37 minutes of Scorpio till 30 degrees of Scorpio is included in this first house of the Chalit Kundali. It means again the same thing. The first house of Chalit Kundali will start at 20 degree 37 minutes of the sign of Scorpio, and it will again, it's ending at 20 degree 37 minutes of the sign of Sagittarius. So you understand, the first house of the Chalit chart also has the last 9 degree and 23 minutes of Scorpio, and it does not have the last 9 degree and 23 minutes of the sign of Sagittarius. The last 9 degree and 23 minutes of the sign of Sagittarius will be in the second house, and the first 20 degree and 37 minutes, or you can say 20 degree and 36 minutes 59 seconds of 20 degree 36 seconds are also included, but you can omit the second sign. So if you omit the second sign, there can be an overlap of degrees and minutes in two houses. All right, so it means 20 degree 37 minutes, suppose is mentioned here. In the second house also it will be 20 degree 37 minutes. It will be starting at 20 degree 37 minutes in the second house. All right, but if you want to calculate it second wise, the second house will have 20 degree 37 minutes, so it will be 20 degree 38 minutes 1 second, but just we can omit that 1 second and we can make it as 20 degree 37 minutes. So if in the second house it will start at 20 degree 37 minutes of the sign of Sagittarius, and it will end at 20 degree 37 minutes in the sign of Capricorn, the second house. All right, this is how you can calculate the remaining houses. But let's again look at the first house of the Chalit Kundali. In this particular example, it is starting at 20 degree 37 minutes of the sign of Scorpio. It again means the first 1 second. It again means the first 20 degree 37 minutes, or the first 20 degree 36 minutes 59 seconds of the sign of Scorpio will be in the 12th house. All right, so just omit the seconds. If you want to see the 12th house, it will be 20 degree 37 minutes of the sign of Libra to 20 degree 37 minutes of the sign of Scorpio. This will be the first 12th house. All right, so the 12th house will start from 20 degree 37 minutes of the sign of Libra to 20 degree 37 minutes of the sign of Scorpio. The first house is starting from 20 degree 37 minutes of the sign of Scorpio to 20 degree 37 minutes of the sign of Sagittarius. The second house will be 20 degree 37 minutes of the sign of Sagittarius to 20 degree 37 minutes of the sign of Capricorn, and so on and so forth. So here I have mentioned it. The Lagna house, the first house of the Chalit Kundli, will start from 20 degree 37 minutes of the sign of Scorpio to 20 degree 37 minutes of the sign of Sagittarius. All right, so you can draw this and keep on practicing it till you are absolutely perfect with this understanding and calculation. All right, so I hope this is properly and very clearly visible. Now let's understand a complete analysis, all right, of a particular Lagna chart. Means I'm talking about understanding the position of planets, which particular sign the particular planet is placed in a Lagna chart, what is that degree that the particular planet is holding, and then let's calculate the Chalit Kundli and let's understand how the planets will be placed in the Chalit Kundli. How to understand the impact of Chalit Kundli. Now we will do a complete analysis. So far I had given you the process of creating or understanding the first house of that particular Chalit chart, and if you can calculate the first house of that particular Chalit chart, that is in which particular degree and sign the first house is starting and in which particular degree and sign the first house of that Chalit chart is ending. If you're able to calculate this, the next 11 houses, that is from 2nd to 12th, you can definitely do it. It's just kind of a respective calculation by adding 30 degrees. So let's draw a Lagna chart, and the Lagna lord is number 4, that is Cancer. So the second house is ruled by Leo, the third house is ruled by Gemini, the fourth house is ruled by Libra, the fifth house is ruled by Scorpio, the sixth house is ruled by Sagittarius, the seventh house is ruled by Capricorn, the eighth house is ruled by Aquarius, the ninth house is ruled by Pisces, the 10th house is ruled by Aries, the 11th house is ruled by Taurus, and the 12th house is ruled by Gemini. That is, I'm telling you as per the Lagna chart. So Sun and Mercury is placed in the second house, that is in the sign of Leo. Ketu is placed in the third house in the sign of Virgo. Venus is placed in the fourth house in the sign of Libra. Moon and Saturn are placed together in the fifth house in the sign of Scorpio. Mars is placed in the sixth house in the sign of Sagittarius. Jupiter is placed in the eighth house in the sign of Aquarius. Rahu is placed in the ninth house in the sign of Pisces. All right, this is the Lagna chart. And again, what is mentioned for all the planets and the Lagna degree wise. The Lagna has a degree of 0 degree 43 minutes. I'm not considering the seconds, all right. The Sun has a degree of 24 degree 11 minutes. The moon has a degree of 18 degree 15 minutes. The Mars has a degree of 23 degrees and 22 minutes. Mercury has a degree of 28 degrees 48 minutes. Jupiter has a degree of 24 degree 13 minutes. Venus has a degree of 9 degree 16 minutes. Saturn has a degree of 10 degree 21 minutes. Rahu has a degree of 28 degree and 45 minutes. And Ketu also has the same degree like that is Rahu's, 28 degree 45 minutes. So even I am showing it to you diagrammatically, even if I know it's not necessary because whatever I have told you, you must have drawn it by your own self. But still, you can pause the video if required. This is the Lagna chart. And these are the degrees of the planets. All right, I've just mentioned in which particular Rashi the particular planet is placed. All right, that you can easily understand from this particular chart only. I've just mentioned it separately so that I can explain it to you in the upcoming section, what is the signification of it. And as per the Lagna chart, the planets are placed in which particular house. All right, so I hope you have drawn this particular chart and this particular chart, this particular table and this particular chart. Now let's calculate the Chalit Kundali based on the details. So how to calculate the first house? Now you know how to calculate. So let's calculate together. I'm showing it to you. If you want to do it on your own based on your previous learning, you can pause the video and you can draw the first house, or you can calculate the first house at in which particular degree and sign the first house of the Chalit Kundali is starting, and in which particular degree and sign the first house of the Chalit Kundali is ending. So now I want to show it to you so that you are able to understand whether if you have done it on your own, whether it is correct or not, based on the degree of Lagna that you have just written it down. 0 degree 43 minutes. Now let's understand it. I'm showing it to you. This is the line of reference starting from 0 degrees on the right to 30 degrees. This is 30 degrees completely. As per Lagna chart, the sign of Sagittarius, the sign of Cancer. All right, the complete thing is the sign of Cancer. Now the middle portion will be 0 degree 43 minutes. All right, so let's move to the right. It's very easy. Add 15 degrees. So the first house of the Chalit Kundali is ending at 15 degree and 43 minutes in the sign of Cancer. And let's understand in which particular degree, which particular sign the first house of the Chalit Kundali will be starting. So it is 0 degree 43 minutes. So if it travels here, if you this will be 43 minutes, then the sign of Cancer is getting completed. Then it travels how much? It needs to travel further 14 degree and 17 minutes. Means if it travels from 15 degree 43 minutes to Gemini to 30 degrees of Gemini, it means it is traversing that 14 degree and 17 minutes. All right, I hope you're understanding what I'm trying to say to you, right? It's easy, very easy calculation. This middle portion is at 0 degree 43 minutes. If you just moves a bit towards the right, it means this will be 0, means this is 43 minutes. Now out of the 15 degrees, 43 minutes has already been traveled. Now it needs to travel further to the right 14 degree and 17 minutes in order to complete the 15 degrees on the right hand side. So traveling 14 degrees and 17 minutes means it needs to travel that 14 degree, the last 14 degree and 17 minutes of the previous sign, that is the sign of Gemini. Means it is traversing from 15 degree 43 minutes of the sign of Gemini to 30 degrees. All right, so the first house of the Chalit Kundali is starting at 15 degree 43 minutes of the sign of Gemini, and it is ending at 15 degree 43 minutes of the sign of Cancer. What it means? It simply means that the first house of Chalit Kundali has a good portion of the sign of Gemini. It completely has 15 degrees, somewhat a kind of a half portion of Cancer, half portion of Gemini. All right, so two Rashis are influencing the first house in the Chalit Kundali as per Chalit Kundali calculation, and it means this is okay. So let's go step by step. So the first house of Chalit Kundali will have 15 degree and 43 minutes of Gemini to 15 degree and 43 minutes of Cancer. This is what I have mentioned. Don't look at this portion as of now. Till here you understand first. All right, I hope you are understanding it. Now I will tell you what will be in which particular degree and sign the upcoming houses, the subsequent houses will start from and end with. So the first house is starting at 15 degree of the sign of Gemini and it is ending at 15 degree of the sign of Cancer, moving from right to left anti-clockwise always. The second house will start from 15 degree and 43 minutes of the sign of Cancer and it will end at 15 degree and 43 minutes of the sign of Leo. You're just adding 30 degrees, all right. The third house will start at 15 degree and 43 minutes of the sign of Leo and it will end at 15 degree and 43 minutes in the sign of Virgo. The fourth house of the Chalit Kundali will start at 15 degree and 43 minutes in the sign of Virgo and it will end at 15 degree 43 minutes in the sign of Libra. The fifth house will start at 15 degree 43 minutes in the sign of Libra and it will end at 15 degree 43 minutes in the sign of Scorpio. The sixth house will start at 15 degree 43 minutes in the sign of Scorpio to 15 degree 43 minutes and it will end at 15 degree 43 minutes in the sign of Sagittarius. The seventh house will start at 15 degree 43 minutes in the sign of Sagittarius and it will end at 15 degree 43 minutes in the sign of Capricorn. The eighth house will start at 15 degree 43 minutes in the sign of Capricorn and it will end at 15 degree 43 minutes in the sign of Aquarius. The ninth house will start at 15 degree 43 minutes in the sign of Aquarius and it will end at 15 degree 43 minutes in the sign of Pisces. The 10th house will start at 15 degree 43 minutes in the sign of Pisces and it will end at 15 degree 43 minutes in the sign of Aries. The 11th house will start at 15 degree 43 minutes in the sign of Aries and it will end at 15 degree 43 minutes in the sign of Pisces. The 12th house will start at 15 degree. I'm so sorry. Let's go back to the 10th house. I think I have just mispronounced or misspelled or wrongly said a particular sign. The 10th house was 15 degree 43 minutes of the sign of Pisces to 15 degree 43 minutes in the sign of Aries. The 11th house was 15 degree 43 minutes in the sign of Aries and it is ending at 15 degree 43 minutes in the sign of Taurus. The 12th house will start at 15 degree 43 minutes in the sign of Taurus and it will end at 15 degree 43 minutes in the sign of Gemini. So you have understood, again, the degrees always moves right to left anti-clockwise. Right is 0, left is 30. So it's moving always from 0 degree to 30 degree. All right, always like this. So this is what I have actually written it down. So now you can understand whatever I have written. I have just crossed something. I hope you don't get confused. So whatever I have said to you verbally, I hope you have written it down on your own, or you can also follow whatever I have written over here. Just be a bit clear about certain things I have crossed. This is not 12, this is 2. All right, this is so here I am able to, this is 7, this is 8, this is 8, and this is 9. So I have, this is 9, this is 10. So I have just somewhere I have just crossed it and written a particular number beside it. I made my own corrections. Initially I made some mistakes and then I corrected it. So whatever I have said to you, please follow that and then you can match it with whatever I have written so that you're not confused with my handwriting. So this is how now you have understood in the Chalit table, each house contains which particular degree of which particular Rashi. All right. So I have also shown it to you or written it down diagrammatically. So this is particularly to show it to you. So the first house here has starting from 15 degree. You can move from left to right over here, right? Starting from 15 degrees, 43 minutes of the sign of Gemini, and it is ending at 15 degree 43 minutes in the sign of Cancer. The second house is again starting at 15 degree 43 minutes in the sign of Cancer, and it is ending at 15 degree 43 minutes in the sign of Leo. The third house is starting at 15 degree 43 minutes in the sign of Leo, and it is ending at 15 degree 43 minutes in the sign of Virgo. And this particular thing goes on. So this is just to make you understand more clearly using a diagram. You can pause the video and you can see it. So whatever you have written it down previously, I've just mentioned that in the house, and this is the Chalit Kundali, and it shows which particular sign and which particular degree a particular house of the Chalit Kundali is containing. All right. So now let's see, why did you do this? Now what's the purpose of doing this? Now definitely now you understand that the degree and the house of the Lagna chart is very different from the degree of the house of Chalit Kundali, and this is where the specificity of understanding of especially planets' impact comes. Now let's go back to this particular chart, what you have drawn previously. Let's go back to this particular chart. All right, now just have a look at this particular chart and understand. All right, I hope this is clear. And understand, so Sun was placed in the 5th house. Now let's leave Lagna chart for a second, and now let's understand just the degree and the Rashi. You can take Lagna chart, but let's now understand the degree and Rashi of Sun, whatever is mentioned as per the Lagna chart. So you cannot completely ignore the word Lagna chart. Suppose Sun has 24 degree 11 minutes in the sign of Leo, that is whatever you have drawn beneath the Lagna chart. All right. Now you have to see in the Chalit table, 24 degree and 11 minutes in the sign of Leo, it is occupying which particular house. So 24 minutes and 11 degrees in the sign of Leo. (24 degrees and 11 minutes in the sign of Leo), it will fall in the 3rd house. All right, because the 3rd house has 15 degree 43 minutes of Leo to 15 degree 43 minutes of Virgo. So the 24 degree 11 minutes of Leo will fall in the 3rd house. So you can mention Sun in the 3rd house. All right, now create a table like this, whatever, just don't mention any, just mention, or you can, whatever I have drawn like this, you can draw it like this. Sun 24 degrees 11 minutes in the sign of Leo, 3rd house, mention as per Chalit Kundali. Sun, you can mention 3rd house, then you can do it diagrammatically. Let's understand it step by step. I have done all of these things so that I can illustrate to you everything in a very sequential and stepwise manner. So Sun is now placed in the 3rd house. All right. Now let's talk. Now forget about the placement of Sun in the Chalit Kundali. Only understand in the Lagna chart. Sorry. Now only understand in the Lagna chart, or just whatever you have mentioned beneath. Sun is having what degrees and Sun is positioned in what particular Rashi. Forget about the house of the Lagna chart wherever Sun is placed. That you will understand it later. That will be used to make you understand about the comparison. All right. So Moon has a degree of 18 degree 15 minutes, and it is placed in the sign of Scorpio. Now you have to understand 18 degree 15 minutes in the sign of Scorpio, which particular house of the Chalit Kundali it is occupying. So 18 degree 15 minutes of the sign of Scorpio. 18 degree and 11 minutes. 15 minutes of the sign of Scorpio is occupied by the 6th house. So because 6th house of the Chalit Kundali has starting from 15 degree 43 minutes of the sign of Scorpio to 15 degree 43 minutes of the sign of in the sign of Sagittarius. So 18 degree and 15 minutes in the sign of Scorpio, it will fall in this particular house. So you can mention Moon is placed in the 6th house. That's what I have mentioned as per Chalit Kundali. All right. You can keep on mentioning for the upcoming planets based on the same understanding. Mars has a degree of 23 degrees 22 minutes in the sign of Sagittarius. Now in Chalit Kundali, 23 degrees and 22 minutes is occupied by, in the sign of Sagittarius, it is occupied by 23 degree 22 minutes. It is occupied by the sign of, it's occupied by house number 7. So 23 degree 22 minutes of the sign of Sagittarius, it is coming in this particular house. All right, it is coming in this particular house. 23 degree and 22 minutes in the sign of Sagittarius is falling in this particular house. So you can mention Mars is placed in the 7th house of Chalit chart or the Chalit Kundali. Mercury has a degree of 28 degrees 48 minutes and it is placed in the sign of Leo. So 28 degree 48 minutes in the sign of Leo is falling in 3rd house. All right, 3rd house of the Chalit Kundali. So Mercury is placed in the 3rd house of the Chalit Kundali. All right, please follow the diagram that you have drawn, whatever I have shown it to you. Jupiter has a degree of 24 degree and 13 minutes and it is in the sign of Aquarius. Now 24 degree 13 minutes in the sign of Aquarius, it is coming in the 9th house of the Chalit Kundali. All right, because Chalit Kundali is starting from 15 degree 43 minutes in the sign of Aquarius and it is ending at 15 degree 43 minutes in the sign of Pisces. So here Jupiter will be placed in the 9th house of the Chalit Kundali or the Chalit chart. Venus has a degree of 9 degree and 16 minutes in the sign of Libra. So 9 degree and 16 minutes in the sign of Libra. It's occupied by which particular house in the Chalit Kundali? 9 degree and 16 minutes in the sign of Libra. 9 degree and 16 minutes in the sign of Libra. It comes in the 4th house. So 9 degree and 16 minutes in the sign of Libra is occupied by the 4th house of the Chalit chart, Chalit Kundali, because the 4th house of the Chalit Kundali is starting from 15 degree 43 minutes in the sign of Virgo and it is ending at 15 degree 43 minutes in the sign of Libra. So you can mention Venus is placed in the 4th house of the Chalit Kundali. Now Saturn has a degree of 10 degree and 21 minutes in the sign of Scorpio. Now 10 degree and 21 minutes in the sign of Scorpio, it is occupied by which particular house in the Chalit Kundali? 10 degrees and 21 minutes in the sign of Scorpio. So 10 degree and 21 minutes in the sign of Scorpio is occupied by the 5th house of the Chalit Kundali, because the 5th house of the Chalit Kundali has is starting from 15 degree 43 minutes in the sign of Libra and it is ending at 15 degree 43 minutes in the sign of Scorpio. So Saturn is placed in the 5th house of Chalit Kundali as per Chalit Kundali. Now Rahu has a degree of 28 degree and 45 minutes in the sign of Pisces. Now 28 degree 45 minutes in the sign of Pisces is occupied by which particular house as per Chalit Kundali? 28 degree 45 minutes in the sign of Pisces. 28 degree 45 minutes in the sign of Pisces is occupied by the 10th house of Chalit Kundali, because the 10th house of Chalit Kundali is starting from 15 degree 43 minutes in the sign of Pisces and it is ending at 15 degree 43 minutes in the sign of Aries. So you can mention Rahu is placed in the 10th house as per Chalit Kundali. Now Ketu also has 28 degree 45 minutes, but it is placed in the sign of Virgo. So 28 degree 45 minutes in the sign of Virgo. Now 28 degree 45 minutes in the sign of Virgo is again falling in the 4th house of Chalit Kundali. So you can mention Ketu is placed in the 4th house of Chalit Kundali. So as per Chalit Kundali, Sun is placed in the 3rd house, Moon is placed in the 6th house, Mars is placed in the 7th house, Mercury is placed in the 3rd house, Jupiter is placed in the 9th house, Venus is placed in the 4th house, Saturn is placed in the 5th house, Rahu is placed in the 10th house, Ketu is placed in the 4th house. All right. So this is what I have drawn. This is as per Chalit Kundali, right? 1st house, 2nd house, 3rd house, 4th house, 5th house, 6th, 7th, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 and 1. All right. This is what I have mentioned here and this is what I have drawn here. Now you are able, this is what you can simply means these planets are impacting these houses in a particular individual's life. Now you understand the difference. As per Lagna chart, for that same individual, these are the planets' position, but as per Chalit Kundali, the planets have interchanged. You can see, for example, as per Lagna chart, Sun and Mercury was positioned in the 2nd house in the sign of Libra. But whatever degrees these planets are holding in the sign of Libra, as per Chalit Kundali, it is coming in the 3rd house. So Sun and Mercury are also impacting the 3rd house. So whatever aspects are there related to the 3rd house, it is getting impacted. All right. Now whether this will be Yogakarka or Maraka, that you need to check about all the planets. This is why a proper and detailed analysis of the planets needs to be done. But again, once you draw this, then only you will be able to understand that a particular planet, suppose Sun and Mercury, it is impacting definitely the 2nd house. So this table you cannot ignore. This is the whole and soul. This is the main table. I'm not saying once you draw the Chalit Kundali, you only do the analysis as per Chalit Kundali. No. In Chalit Kundali, always remember Rashis are not mentioned. Means, as I have said, one particular house is having 2 Rashis. Chalit Kundali Rashi calculation is only done in order to find out whatever we have done in this particular page. This is the findings as of from the Chalit table. This is what we need to find. All right, but this can be only found out once you have found out this. So that's why it is step by step. Once you have found out this, calculated this entire thing, that is which particular house has which particular degrees and which particular Rashi, then only you will be able to understand which particular planet will be impacting which particular house, right? As per the degree and as per the sign the planet originally holds in that individual's life. So that is the reason why after doing this, then you will be able to compare the Lagna chart and the Chalit Kundali, and both of this you have to check side by side. This is the main chart, but this thing you also need to understand, so that whatever planets you are seeing mentioned in the Lagna chart, how they're impacting, are they impacting other houses? As you can see, evidently Sun and Mercury is also impacting the 3rd house. Now whether this will be positive or negative, that will depend on the Lagna chart itself. You have to understand, calculate the Yogakarka Maraka on the Lagna chart, but for that you also need to take the Chalit chart, Chalit Kundali into consideration. Then only you will be able to completely understand whether a particular planet will be acting as completely Maraka, completely Yogakarka. And I have not discussed about this particular concept in my previous classes, because you will be getting confused if I say that, okay, you also need to analyze the Chalit Kundali. And then you will be confused. So what is Chalit Kundali? You will be asking me, or you will be thinking in your mind. So that is the reason why I did not unfold Chalit Kundali information till the time I thought that I will teach you in detail about Chalit Kundali. Then only you will be able to understand the importance of it. And definitely you have to use this concept in order to properly and thoroughly understand the impact of planets in an individual's life, in order to understand completely what are the proper Vedic astrological remedies that needs to be suggested. Again, let's look at more examples. In the Lagna chart, you can see Ketu is placed in the 2nd house. In the Chalit chart, Ketu comes in the 4th house and sits along with Venus. In the Lagna chart, Venus and in the Chalit chart, Venus, both position are same. In the Lagna chart, you can see Saturn is individually placed in the 5th house, and Moon is, sorry, in the Lagna chart, you can see Moon and Saturn are both placed in the 5th house. So here, example, for an example, you will understand as per the Lagna chart, you will find, okay, Moon is good, but Saturn is somewhat creating some sort of a mental disturbance for Moon. Even though Saturn is a Samgraha for this particular chart, it is not completely, one second. No, Saturn is Maraka. So Saturn is definitely Maraka, all right. But you will think that Vish Dosh will not be completely impactful or will not be completely Maraka, because here Moon is, one second. Just one second. So Moon is, even though Moon is debilitated over here, it is definitely not a good placement for Moon, whatever I can see. All right, because Moon is debilitated and there is no Nij Bhang. The Lagnesh, when debilitated, has a Lagna dosh. So this is a very bad position for Moon. And you can see the same thing, it is getting reflected over here. When you see Moon, it is sitting in the 5th house. Moon is also aspecting the, sitting in the 5th house. In the Chalit Kundali, placement of Moon happens in the 6th house. So you can see how Moon is inauspicious. And this particular person with this particular placement will definitely have a lot of mental health problems and issues. And that too, it might be on a very serious level, because you can see here a proper Vish Yoga, Vish Dosh is forming, and Moon is completely debilitated. And there is no Nij Bhang. All right. There is no Nij Bhang over here. All right. So here also Moon, the placement of Moon in the Chalit Kundali is also very bad. It is sitting in the 6th house, which also forms Sonika Paya. So there is Lagna Dosh, there is Vish Dosh, and there is also kind of a Sonika Paya. And all of these three things are related to the planet Moon. So planet Moon is definitely very inauspicious in this particular Lagna chart that you can see also. You are coming to a confirmed understanding about the Moon by taking into consideration the Chalit Kundali. Saturn's placement remains the same in the Lagna chart as well as the Chalit Kundali, that Saturn is placed in the 5th house of both of these charts. Mars was placed in the 6th house. All right. But here Mars gets placed in the 7th house. So Mars will not be completely Maraka. So you will think that Mars is sitting in the 6th house, but here in the Chalit Kundali you can see Mars comes in the 7th house. All right, and Mars is Yoga Karka for this particular chart, because Mars has the lordship, as per the Lagna chart, Mars has the lordship of the 5th house and the 10th house. So Mars has excellent placement, but here Mars, as it is sitting in the 6th house, it loses its auspiciousness. But the same Mars is getting positioned in the Kendra house. All right, so that forms a good yoga also. It is good. It is a good placement for Mars in the 7th house. So here Mars will not be completely Maraka. So you will think that Mars is giving some bad effects, but if you ask that individual, he or she might not have. So whatever in that individual will have problem with, it will be related to the planet Moon. Whatever definitely related to this Moon and Saturn conjunction also. So again, you can see Jupiter was placed in the 8th house, but in the Chalit Kundali, Jupiter is getting placed in the 9th house. Rahu was placed in the 9th house of the Lagna chart. In the Chalit Kundali, Rahu is getting placed in the 10th house. The sign remains the same. Rahu still is sitting in the sign of Pisces, but the house placement, it changes because of whatever calculation we have found out. All right, because whatever degree Rahu holds and in which particular sign it is sitting, that particular degree and sign falls in the 10th house as per Chalit Kundali accuracy. All right, so this is what you need to understand. Again, I'm showing it to you. This is what you need to find out in order to properly analyze, in order to completely understand the impact of planets in an individual's life. So that is the reason why today's topic took so much amount of time, because it was completely mathematical and everything I had to show it to you step by step. Otherwise, if I just told you, you will not be able to understand, because whatever calculation I have shown it to you, it is very much new. And this calculation, this particular topic has never been discussed in my previous classes, only because of the reason, because this particular topic is very much unique in nature. The calculation of creating a Chalit Kundali, you have to, this is the only way to do it. This is a very, very new subject, and that's why I took a whole complete class and I never discussed that I will be discussing about Chalit Kundali, just to avoid confusion in your mind. And I have explained it to you in detail and in completeness, and completely accurately I have explained it to you how you need to draw a Chalit Kundali from the birth details of an individual's chart, from the Lagna chart information itself, how you can draw the Chalit Kundali. And even in some applications, the Chalit Kundali will be mentioned as default. Just like the application will show you the Lagna chart, the Chalit chart will also come in some pages. But I will request you not to follow that chart, because according to my understanding, in my experience, in a lot of applications, the Chalit chart is not accurately displayed. It is, the information mentioned in those free applications, free softwares, is incorrect. When it comes to the Chalit chart, all right, the Lagna chart is still, I think it will be correct. So the Chalit chart, you have to do it on your own. And that is the reason why I have explained it to you how to do it. And this is the only way you have to do it. So again, I know you will not be able to completely understand my today's class in one particular watch. I'm very much sure about it. So you have to watch it again and again. You have to keep on pausing, keep on practicing. Again, you have to play my video. Again, you need to pause. Again, you need to practice. If you do this with sincerity, if you do this with honesty, this particular concept you will easily grab. And once you grab it, you will find that this calculation is very easy. The calculation is not difficult. It's just that this particular topic is a bit new. So in the first attempt, in the first watch, you might find it a bit difficult. But once you are able to understand it, once you're able to do it on your own, after that, it will be very easy for you, right? And again, I'm repeating, you cannot omit, you cannot ignore today's class. Otherwise, you are understanding your interpretation, your analysis of an individual's horoscope will not be complete. You will not be able to properly understand and analyze whether a particular planet is giving Yogakarka effects, completely Yogakarka effects, or it is giving Maraka effects. And this is the reason why Chalit Kundali is very, very important, of utmost importance. You have to sit with the Lagna chart and the Chalit Kundali side by side, and after that only you have to do your interpretation and analysis. And whatever subcharts you need to look at, that will only depend if it is required. But this is 100% required. All right. And that was it for today's class. I have explained to you about the topic of Chalit Kundali, and I hope you are watching all of my classes. Keep on watching my class, watch it over and over again. Whenever you feel that you are not able to understand it completely. So once you watch it again and again, you will slowly you will grab it. If in case you are not able to grab the concepts and understanding straight away. All right. And watch my classes from class 1. Even in today's class also, if you have not watched my previous classes, you will definitely not completely understand today's class. How much effort you put, you will not be able to understand whatever I am saying. In order to understand today's class, which is very lengthy, you have to be thorough. You have to be complete with all of my previous classes, starting from class 1. All right, and always move step by step. Watch class 2, understand it, then go to watch class 1, understand it, learn it, practice it, be sound and fluent in that particular class. Then you proceed to class 2, then class 3, then class 4, then class 5, and so on and so forth. And also please subscribe to my YouTube channel. I am putting a lot of honest efforts, lot of hard efforts, sincere efforts, and my only objective in doing so is to share it with you, is to discuss with you, and that too in detail and with proper accuracy about the world, the science, the skill of Vedic astrology, and whatever is important, whatever is necessary, I am completing all of the topics. And again, double quotes, in detail, with 100% accuracy. I'm telling you the correct and the accurate information, and whatever I am discussing with you with practical examples, with working examples. I am explaining it to you. All right. And so it's a request. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel, like my videos, share my videos, and if you have any doubts related to the topics of Vedic astrology, that is what I'm sharing in my YouTube channel, then please share your doubts, your queries in the comment section, and I will definitely try to answer them. Okay, I will see you in the next class. Take care.